Imagine for a moment that you're an average Joe, just minding your own business in the 1870s. Life is pretty chill and you can make a living just discovering a new dinosaur every other day. The world of paleontology was a lot less cut and dry back then. People were still trying to figure out what the hell even happened to these creatures. Were they the result of some biblical flood? Did they all lay eggs? What about the whole monster theory? You know, the idea that these discoveries were nothing more than tall tailies, spun by local hucksters looking to make a buck off gullible academics. Well, one scientist had a different theory. He believed that some of these dino discoveries might actually be evidence of giants among us. And not just any giants, mind you, but ones that walked on two legs. Hi, it's me, and welcome to Paleologic. Today we're talking about Brontosaurus, specifically the weird little gap in the fossil record that has led to all sorts of speculation over the years. When the first Brontosaurus fossils were found in the 1870s, the scientific community was pretty split on how to classify them. Some paleontologists believed they should be grouped with the other large plant-eating dinosaurs like the Apatosaurus, while others thought they deserved their own group entirely. The latter group ultimately won out, and our friends the Brontosaurs became their own thing. But that wasn't the only debate happening at the time. Just a few years earlier, in 1869, a man named Edward Drinkacope had described a new type of human ancestor called Pith. By 1872, a full skeleton had been unearthed, and people started to wonder if this discovery might actually prove that humans were descended from apes. Now, obviously today, we know that's not the case, but at the time, it was a huge deal. So when the Brontosaurus came along, some people started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, it could be our missing link, our own personal King Kong? But why? Why would anyone think that a giant ape-like dinosaur was our great-great-great-great-grandfather? Well, for starters, the Brontosaurus was huge. It was also discovered in North America, not too far from where Pithecanthropus had been found. And finally, there was this one particular specimen, a single footprint preserved in stone. This trackway consisted of 5 toes, which is pretty interesting because that's also how many toes a human has. Compare this to most dinosaurs, which typically had 3 toes, or 2 modern apes, which usually have 4, and you start to see the appeal. These similarities led many to believe that the Brontosaurus wasn't just our missing link, but that it was actually still walking among us, hiding out in the remote wilderness of North America. One man in particular, a taxidermist named J.W. Steed, even claimed that he had seen one for himself. According to his story, he was hunting one day when he saw a large ape-like creature standing on a nearby hill. He shot at it, but the bullet just bounced off its thick hide. So he did the only reasonable thing he could do and climbed up the hill to find the creature's enormous footprints. These tracks matched the ones found in the fossil record, and Steed was convinced that he had found the very animal that made them. Now, despite stories like this, the general consensus among scientists was still that the Brontosaurus was just another herbivorous dinosaur. That was until 1899 when a writer named Roy Elmore published a paper arguing that the Brontosaurus was in fact a biped. His theory was based largely on the aforementioned footprints, which he believed could not have been made by a creature that walked on 4 legs. Plus, if you look at the thigh bone of a Brontosaurus, it looks kind of like, well, a femur. Kinda looks like mine! We have 2 leg bones here. It doesn't look like it would attach to a hip that would allow for a 3rd leg to grow out of it. And we don't have any evidence of extra articulation points on any of the remaining fossils. So yeah, probably not a quadruped. Moore's argument was enough to convince a lot of people, including the famous paleontologist Sophie Marsh, that the Brontosaurus was indeed a Unfortunately, though, Marsh died before he could publish his findings. So they didn't get out until 1903. By that point, the giant ape theory had already taken hold in the public consciousness thanks to books like The Lost World and The King of the Apes. So when Marsh's papers were finally released, they were largely ignored. It was NT until 1953 that the giant ape theory was finally put to rest. When a new species of Brontosaurus was discovered in Wyoming, this new species, Brontosaurus celsus, was much smaller than its relatives, which finally gave us a complete picture of what these animals look like and how they lived. Today, the giant ape theory is nothing more than a footnote in the history of paleontology. But it's a fascinating example of how our understanding of the natural world is always evolving. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll find a real-life King Kong. But until then, we'll just have to settle for Brontosaurus. Thanks so much for watching! If you want to learn more about the weird and wonderful world of dinosaurs, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Hope you learned something new. Have a great day, and remember, be excellent to each other.